Chapter 25, Hatchet Rising. After being home for about a month and a half and trying to rebuild my home life, it was already time to hit the road again. The amazing Jugglo Brothers was out and still popping. We needed to stay out on the road everywhere. We needed to keep ICP on people's minds as much as possible. The 5th Joker's card was out, and everybody knew what that meant. The fucking 6th Joker's card is on deck. We need as many new Juggalo ninjas to take notice now or never, because the countdown is almost over. That's how we looked at it, and it was time to work harder than ever. The 6th was next, but truthfully, it still seemed light years away. Even after the 5th came out and we were out doing it live, it still seemed like the 6th was years away from actually happening. We still kept the hustle up. The amazing Jugglo Brothers was out, and this was still its turn to ride. We still had too much ammo left on the 5th to be heard. Billy Bill set up for a special team of super road ninjas for our new tour. It was hard, but for this tour, we kept our road crew as small as possible. ChzBrgr Records needed everybody else back at our warehouse in Detroit. They all were needed to help Rob put together the first annual gathering of the Juggalos. What is that, you ask? It's a motherfucking Jugglo Woodstock, only better. There's more to do, more to see, more hoes to fuck, and it's all way more insane than any other festival on the planet. It's a 3 or 4 day long, incredible, amazing, giant Juggalo festival convention that my brother put together, and he continues to do it today. This was going to be huge. It was going to feature concerts, wrestling, seminars, a haunted house, a 6-part ICP museum, contests, games, on and on and on. The first was scheduled to be in Novi, Michigan at the Novi Expo Center. Wow, just a mere 8 miles from where our office was. How convenient. That's what they were putting together. It felt like our tour was nothing compared to the monster that Dr. Frank and Rob and them were putting together. We were set to leave out on our tour for 6 months, and when we finally come back to Detroit, it would be the morning of the gathering. Send in the clowns. I can't lie. I had heavy speculations about it all at first. We'd been talking about doing a Juggalo gathering of sorts for years. When Rob actually started putting it together, it seemed overwhelming to me. Too overwhelming, impossible almost. It seemed so way out of our league at ChzBrgr. Right off the bat, I started stressing. Rob was bringing in giant sumo wrestling suits, video games, jousting, rock climbing, and all kinds of shit like that. I remember thinking, no Juggalo is gonna wanna put on them sumo suits or anything like that. Man, I don't know. Stress. Truth is, days started looking kind of bland for me right around this point in my life. I was heavy in need of my panic attack medication at all time, and I was getting fatter because of it. Plus, my lazy, hungry ass wasn't helping. I didn't give a fuck though. I'd rather take the fucking pills and gain weight quicker than go through more panic attacks. Even with the pills, I was still having anxiety. I didn't know exactly what my problem was, but I wasn't even interested in the extra headache, worry, and stress that this gathering thing was gonna bring me. My brother and Alex already knew that though. That's why they just gave us what we needed out on the road. They sent us out there doing what we did best and out of their way. That was just about the first time in my entire career that I stepped aside and stepped out of a major ChzBrgr Records project due to stress. I was starting to slip. Maybe 6 more months of the road would help. We were road dogs, that's how we do. We do shows. Some shows are packed with hype-ass spotlights outside, 3 radio stations parked out front, doing live broadcasts, 4,000 juggalos in the house, and all that crazy shit. Other shows are much staler. Maybe 300 ninjas, low ceiling, tiny foot tall stage, shitty sounds, and no love. Well, when you attempt to play everywhere that'll have you, like we did on this next tour, you find out just how many whack venues are really out there. We launched the massive and now infamous Wicked Clowns from Outer Space Tour. The longest tour we had ever taken forth. We just set out with no ending in sight. We had the fresh-ass space green stage with the laser Fago guns and Martians dancing on stage, walking around. It was a great-looking stage set. It was a long tour. We played large venues, small venues, all venues everywhere. Some places we did 2 or 3 nights in a row. Let me tell you about one show that stands out in my mind. For the most part, we loved every show except this one. It was Kansas, second night. That morning we woke up and Joey and I were instantly already stressed out. There was only about a week left in the entire tour. I personally was sweating the gathering out of control. I didn't know anything at all about what to expect there. I remember calling Alex. Alex, Joey and I are with Blaze and Tom Dub. We're in Kansas. Alex was like, uh-huh. And I told Alex, well, we have a brick and we're about to put it on the gas pedal and run this stale-ass van into the river. Don't worry, we already got the license plates off it and all that shit, and we got everything out of the glove box.
What van?
Alex asked. Our van, the minivan. See, we had purchased a gray minivan about a year earlier that we had been pulling behind the tour bus on a trailer. We use it to go to the shows and back and to get around during the day or wherever we're going.
Why are you guys gonna drive the van into the river?
Alex asked. Well, because we can't take it anymore. We're losing our minds. We need to relieve stress, just like when we sledgehammered Rob's car up at the office. Plus, we hate this fucking nerdy-ass soccer mom van. If we don't do this, we're gonna lose it and just come home. Alex is one of us. He understood the situation and he did the math right then and there in his head.
Okay, that van was about 15K, and there's only 3 more shows on the tour, including tonight's, each one pulling in at least 10K in merch. 30, 40. Okay, go ahead and do it.
And so we did it. It was fucking fresh as motherfucking hell. I always wanted to see a car go into the water. We all saw it go in. Plunk. We ran quick as hell, scary and nerdy. Billy had to pick us up at a nearby skate shop. That night, it was time to take the stage. I was still losing it, incredibly stressed out. We had been on this tour forever. It just seemed like they were all the same show. One long-ass continuous marathon concert. I don't know, we had been out for so long and the gathering was coming up and we were under so much stress that even running a van, a shitty one be it at that, but running a van into the river in Lawrence, Kansas, or whatever city we were in, allegedly, even that couldn't prevent the stress from crawling and captivating all over my brain. I was totally fucking stressed out. And that night, as soon as I hit the stage, the first thing that happened was this. Somebody, some fucking dickhead, hocked up a giant ball of loogie and woofed it right into my eyeball. That fucking stuck to my eyelid. I could feel its weight hanging down my eyelid. There were definitely solids within that spit. My already distraught brain quickly thought this: whoever just spit that shit probably doesn't know whether or not they hit me. So I don't want to give him the fucking gratification of him knowing it was a perfect hit and watching me stand there and wipe this fucking goober out of my eye. So instead, I played it off. Yeah, it felt like a little fetus was hanging off my eyelid. So what? I walked straight over to the Faygo, opened up one, and sprayed it around some and played it off by pouring the rest on my face. I could feel the loogie slide down my cheek and eventually off my chin until finally it dripped off my goatee and onto my foot. I kicked it off my shoe and there it was chilling on the floor. It looked like a crushed frog. Then I washed my eyeball off a few more times unsuspectedly and opened it. What was the first thing I saw when I opened both my eyes? In the back left was a super fat chick with her shirt open, unbuttoned, and both of her fried egg titties were hanging off to the sides, Abdullah the Butcher style. I had to do a double take. First, you do a double take. Google Abdullah the Butcher and look at his titties, and you will get an idea of what this chick looked like as she had undid her shirt and was flashing me her Abdullah the Butcher titties as if I were to be like, oh shit, look at those fine ass pancake titties. How do I get my hands around those half-empty water balloons? As I kept doing the show, I couldn't help but keep noticing this wildebeest with her shirt unbuttoned and peeled wide open, and her bare beach ball belly, and those two wet socks for titties. I couldn't believe it, but there it was, with a bright white light somehow right above her, pointing down onto her, showcasing her goods. That was the only person I could see lit up like a special attraction in the front row. That was to my left. To my right, some kid in the front row flipping me off. I'm steady trying to do the show and have a good time like most every other night, and all I can see is her and him. Left, right, both at it for the next 20 fucking minutes or so. I kept thinking, that fucking punk ass hater don't quit. What the fuck is he doing here front row if he hates us? This is an ICP concert. What'd he do? Buy a ticket to come flip us off? What the fuck is up with the fact he's only flipping me off? Why ain't he flipping Joey off? His fucking finger keeps following me all over the stage. Look at this bitch over here. God dang, does she really think that's sexy? What? She looks like a fucking sea otter in a wig. I mean, it's all good, flash us whatever, but fuck, man, 20 minutes of this topless spectacle? I can't fucking take it. This kid still flipping me off. What's he saying? Suck my pop. I didn't know what happened. I just jumped on there and started beating the kid. I had to. The stage is the stage, but a man is a man, and this man can only take so much. After I beat him, Joey started beating on him. Then I walked off stage and left Joey beating on the kid. I completely snapped. I lost it. The chick to the left of me lit up under the spotlight with the enormous body, flashing me her titties that are actually on her back if you want to see the nipples. And then to my right, the kid flipping me off, and only mere moments ago, the goober sliding down my fucking face. I was losing my fucking mind. We had been on the road for over 6 months straight. Earlier in the day, we dumped the van in the fucking river and still found no fucking gratification or stress relief. And I was losing it. And the only thing that brought me enjoyment at that moment was pummeling that kid's face in the front row. I was sitting there backstage, chilling on some steps. I remember just trying to regain my composure when Joey finally came back and said, "What the fuck is up? You gonna finish this? Are you good? Are you chilling? What's up?" I got up, walked back out on stage, and we finished the show like pimps. It must have been the stress from the road. It had to be. You gotta understand, we love performing live. It's the only equivalent to sex, is performing live, in our opinion. But sometimes when you're on the road over and over and over and over and over, and the months rack up and you're performing the same show every night, they do blur into one long show, and sometimes things that may not normally get to you will suddenly become extremely stressful to you. That's why when Guns N' Roses was doing their thing, Axl would always fly off the stage beating somebody's ass, or jump off the monitor fighting a fucking security guard, or smash his microphone and walk off the stage, or fucking not even show up to begin with, or stay back in the hotel and watch a hockey game while 200,000 rabid fans are waiting at a festival. You know, fucking rock stars are dickheads, because once again, there is no book on how to deal with being quote unquote a celebrity, and just being a tiny low-level celebrity like we are, for me, is very challenging at times, and this was one of those times. But we did it. We finished the tour, and we arrived at the Gathering. That morning, we did the Howard Stern show. From there, we immediately flew from New York City back to Detroit for the Gathering of the Juggalos' first annual. The tour was over, thank God, and the day had come to return to the Murder Mitten. As soon as we stepped off the plane, we started noticing juggalos. There were juggalos scattered throughout the airport. It was crazy. On the way home, we saw carloads of juggalos everywhere, all coming into town. It really was like Woodstock, only it was ours. They had everything a juggalo would ever want. They must have all been working night and fucking day forever setting all this up. They had every stage set from every tour we'd ever done, all set up with lighting and everything. It was awesome. You walk into this giant convention hall and you can go walk through every stage set from every tour. We kept all this shit in storage, and these guys, my brother and them fucking real pros, pulled out every stage set and set it up in this giant convention hall so you can stand on the stage and take photos on it or whatever the fuck you want. And that was just one feature of this amazing thing we were witnessing for the first time, called The Gathering. They had ICP tour bus tours through Southwest Detroit. There were free tattoos. There were freak shows walking around. Open mic rappers rapping. And fucking sumo suits. Not only were they a big hit, but there was a long ass line for it. And there was also a big ass, hype ass crowd watching, cheering everybody on. It was a complete, utter, fucking total success. My brother and Nathan's ideas worked. This was The Gathering, and the most magical thing about it was the feeling. Everybody was from a different place. Everybody was from somewhere else and had traveled far to be there, to be together, not just to see the stage sets or the wrestling or all the concerts or the contests, to see each other, to see who else is out there feeling this crazy music just like you are. Because every juggalo knows they go through shit at home for being a juggalo. But when you get together with other juggalos who you know are going through the same type of shit, You are. The feeling is fucking amazing. And that's the real beauty of the gathering. And that is what we learned this day, the day of the first gathering. We knew that it's only half about the spectacle. The other half of the show are the people themselves. Right when we got there, Rob handed us our schedules. We had autographs from 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. Then it was off to the ICP seminar from 1:30 to 2:30. Then we wrestle at JCW in the Sportatorium from 3 o'clock until 5 o'clock. Then we get a break until 8 o'clock when it's concert time. Twisted had mad crazy shit going on for all 3 days just like we did. And so did Blaze Your Dead Homie, Mikey Clark, Legs Diamond, Too Tough Tony, Madman Pondo, fucking everybody. We even brought back Project Born to perform live with us for the history value of it. The Cottonmouth Kings came in from California and turned it the fuck out. Cause we had been touring with them on the road, and Juggalos had fallen in love with them as well. Plus, the chick that I loved when we were in WCW, which I never got to tell you about. Her name was Spice, and she was one of the Nitro girls. Fucking hottie. Fucking super body hottie. Even she came, and she was our sexy ass ring chick for JCW. She didn't come for free, mind you. Vampiro came all the way from Mexico, and he turned it out both in the ring and on stage with us. The Juggalos even stormed the ring at the end of our match, and it collapsed in. Wow, it was like a fucking earthquake. At night, the hotels were all sold out clean and insane with Juggalos. Man, Juggalos came from as far as Europe, Australia, Canada, and all over the United States. It was a non-stop fucking Juggalo world together for 1 weekend. A weekend we really needed. It was like Ultraman making it back to the sun for a few days for Joey and I. It was so new and exciting, and the fact that it all went off so smooth just made it the fat dose of karma we needed. It was incredible for all 3 days straight. I'll even get personal with you if you want to know. I remember the second night of the gathering, I brung 2 chicks back to my house to spend the night with me, and they were gonna double do me. Only one of them chickened out and went downstairs and slept on the couch, which was fine with me, cause she was the folded one. The fine one stayed with me, and I remember peeling off her shiny platinum pleather pants and seeing that tan nice body right before I banged it out backward in my own fucking bedroom. Yeah, and she sat on my face, bitch. Yeah! After the Wicked Clowns from Outer Space tour and then the awesome debut of the Gathering of the Juggalos, studio was just the place where we needed to be. We set in to record a crazy, ruthless motherfucking double album to drop as one last giant effort in recruiting any last-minute Juggalos we could to join our parade before the arrival of the mighty 6 Jokers card. Not to mention, they made for a perfect staller. I was not feeling any type of messages at all for the 6. I had no idea what to call it, how to put it, or how to have it sound. It was like, just wait on it or you'll fuck it up, and you can't fuck up the 6th. Flat fucking out. We knew the time wasn't right for the 6 Jokers card, so Bizaar would close the gap perfectly for us. Bizaar was 2 albums, both spelt differently, Bizzar and Bizar. AAR would be the name of each album collectively. Mike Clark's Funhouse Studio was the spot. We took a time out away from everything else around us and concentrated only on Bizaar and Bizaar. Unfortunately, they would be the last full-length album we do with Mike Clark for a while. After the 4 tracks Mike did for us on the Dark Lotus album, we'd stop working with him altogether while he went off and worked with Kid Rock on a more serious level. But of course, as time will tell, we reunited with Mikey Clark, and we're still reunited to this day. Sometimes we do an album together, sometimes we don't. It's all love, thick and thin, in and out, black and white. Any way you want to cut or slice it, it's all good with us and our brother, Mike E. Clark. Listen to my wise man advice for all of you. Listen close. Your job should never suck. After all, it's what we do for a living. If you do something that sucks for a living, you suck for a living then. Here's what you should do. Quit right now. I understand you have bills and crazy debts. Good. That will only encourage you and motivate you to find another job quicker. Once you have found your new job, what's the worst that could happen? It sucks again? Hey, at least you gave it a shot, right? Once you find out your new job sucks too, just put in a little week or 2 for that check, boom, and do it again. Just quit. Do it again and again and again if necessary. Keep doing it until you find a job that doesn't suck. We only get 80-some years of life on this planet if we're lucky. So fuck wasting your time here on Earth by doing something that fucking sucks every day. I don't care if you got kids. They're just gonna have to starve for a little minute, because if you get trapped into doing something that sucks, it's gonna suck every day. Find your niche at any cost, bitch. I only said bitch because it rhymes with niche. Bitch, bitch ass snitch. Leave your ass in a ditch with a pitchfork stuck in your itch. Anyway, back to the story. We decided to get away from the studio heat with Mike and finish the album elsewhere. So we headed to one of our favorite clown towns, Denver, Colorado. There, we finished the albums in the Denver studio for a change of atmosphere. All the shit was pretty much done except for skits, editing, intros and outros, and all the additional flavor like that. Just the frosting on the cake, so to speak, in Fat Kid terms. We brought Rudy and this kid who worked at Psychopathic Records at the time named Lawrence. Lo was cool as fuck, but he eventually got into a fist fight with another new Psychopathic employee, and they both got fired for that bullshit. Lo was cool, but you can never fist fight a fellow hatchet man. It's just Juggalo law. We actually have a bunch of well-respected laws up at Psychopathic. This is as real as you can get too. If you get into a fist fight with another hatchet employee, you both have to strip down and get butt naked first. Then you can fight all you want, fags. Because that way, you're fighting with the guy you got a problem with, but you're both rolling around on the floor naked while you're fighting. So, if that's how you want to fight, if you want to fight that bad that you want to roll around on the floor naked with another man, go ahead and do it. But you know, your mushroom caps are going to be dapping each other's. Plus, you never know what could happen and what might slip into what. 2 naked homies rolling around together ain't right on my block. Don't sound like much fun. If you refuse to get naked before you swing on somebody else hatchet affiliated, well, you're fired. I've seen some shit get close to where both ninjas were down to their drawers, but by then they realized how stupid they both looked and what could happen. Slip. And eventually, Everybody laughs it all off at that point, and that's why that's a good, respected law at the Hatchet. Anyhow, right there in Denver, we stayed at the one and only Ramada Inn right there on Colfax, like we always do. All the psychopathic artists stay there. It's almost like a strange Denver Juggalo tradition. Every time we come to town, all the Juggalos stay there as well. It's a mini-ass gathering up in that bitch. I love Denver because I'm pretty much a big gumpy ass nowadays, yet I can still pull hotties in Denver. I think it's because of the cold weather. I think the chicks like a nice, fat, warm, cuddly ninja. So I usually do pretty good, especially during the colder months in Denver. We set up at a pretty good studio, and we were just hanging out working every day when one day, WCW came to town for Nitro. It was an early show, and me and Joey took the day off and went up to say hello to everybody in the backstage. And there was our boy Vampiro. After the show, we all went out to our homie's tattoo shop and we all got tatted up. Vamp even got his official Dark Lotus wrist tat and a fresh ICP logo on his arm. After about a month in Denver,
it was finished.
Bizaar and Bizaar were both ready and good to go. Once again, we made sure not to blow up or become popular in the industry by just about slamming everybody and burning every bridge we ever crossed. I gotta absolutely say, I love Bizaar and Bizaar's album packaging. To this day, I vote it our freshest packaging ever. Our boy Gary Arnett, who usually does our graphics, did a really good job on them bad boys. Upon returning to Detroit to hand in the new albums, we decided it was time to open our very own recording studio. We hadn't been working with Mike much lately, and fuck going out of state every time. Let's open up the Lotus Pod, our very own top-of-the-line, super fresh studio. This was an absolute dream come true for Joey and I. I gotta tell you, right away though, we needed a ninja to put the studio together for us. The fact is, Joey and I don't know shit between good studio equipment and bad. We needed a master of the trade to design, order, put together, and then engineer our new shit from here out at the Lotus Pod. We put the word out, and Alex found our guy. His name, Mike Puwal. We quickly dubbed him Mike Peasy Weezy for Sheezy, aka Lil Ultra Healthy, Nutty Eating, Yoga Grass, Tofu Chewing Mike P. A young ass ninja with mad chicks and incredible talent. He even looked like he walked right out of the Goo Goo Dolls. He played around with many local bands in the past. He even did some touring, but he hasn't really accomplished anything big as of yet. Holy fuck though, talk about undiscovered talent. Mike P has got to be Detroit's biggest slept-on secret. We first brought him in to design the studio. Then we quickly decided he was gonna be the engineer for us at the Lotus Pod because he possessed incredible skills, impeccable skills. He was great at just about every fucking thing. Everything he did, he knew how to do. Mike P had plenty of time to set up the Lotus Pod and get ready for all our future projects because we had the Bizaar tour to head out on. Then boom, the records are out for a week. Then bloop, we saw the Billboard numbers. Bizaar and Bizaar debuted at only 20 and 21. We were mad depressed. Being real with you, we had hoped we'd do better after that long-ass Wicked Clowns from Outer Space tour. It didn't go gold or even copper. It went paper, as in number 2,987,534 on the Billboard Top 4 Million. It was an album for juggalos, and that's all that matters. And there is some funny-ass freshness on those CDs, and we have mad love for them. The truth is, both have sold a little over 400,000 copies to date, which is good enough for us by any means and all means, but still, it's slower than our previous debuts. Hey, we're still learning at Psychopathic. We realize we just put out too much fucking music on one day. I mean, 2 different ICP albums at once. On top of that, we dropped a brand new Twisted album the same day, right there on the same shelf, wanting to make it a hat trick. If I was a kid, I probably would have had to steal at least 2 of them bitches if I wanted all 3. Better yet, I'd have Joey with his long ass thumbnail tactic slip the discs out of the CD case for me. A lot of ninjas slept on Bizaar because it wasn't a Joker's card. I understand. People wanted the 6th at that time. The 5th had come out. They were expecting the 6th to drop. And here comes Bizaar. But once again, keeping it totally real, the Dark Carnival had not delivered the 6th Joker's card yet. We still didn't even know what it was. We didn't know what it was going to be called or what it was going to be about. We were waiting for the message to just dawn on us the way the other Joker cards had. It hadn't happened yet. So Bizaar was just a little freshness for you to chew on while you're waiting for that 6th daddy. Twisted went out on their own headlining tour to promote their new album, Freak Show. So, for the Bizaar tour, we brought out punk rock legends, the Suicidal Tendencies, and a southern heavy metal rock band called Nashville Pussy. Don't ask me why they were on that tour, because I don't know. I don't know why Nashville Pussy was on our tour, waving rebel flags and all, playing southern rock. Why they were on tour with ICP, I just don't know. The information is not in my skull. I don't have an answer. Suicidal Tendencies went over pretty well every night, but Nashville Pussy, they learned the hard way that playing in front of juggalos isn't like playing in front of a biker crowd. Listen to this. On the tour's opening night at the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York City, Billy walked in and saw Nashville Pussy setting up their shit. Much to his and our surprise, they had 2 giant rebel flags hanging over the band as part of their stage setup. Rebel Confederate flags at an ICP show. Billy screamed at them, "Are you guys fucking crazy? Do you guys know anything about ICP and what we're about? We have songs about burning them flags, and you guys want to wave them hung high in front of all the juggalos every night?" Smartly, the pussies, no pun intended, the Nashville Pussies took down the flags before showtime. Still, nothing could save their music and show. That night, the New York Juggalos piled in to see the tour's big opening. Once Nashville Pussy took the stage, the Juggalos in the place did something I have never witnessed before in my life, and I have yet to see it since. All 2,500 Juggalos sat down on the floor with their backs to the stage and flipped Nashville Pussy off with both hands. It was an incredible show of unity and disrespect for Nashville Pussy by the Juggalos. Beautiful, creative, fascinating. Over 2,000 of them sitting on their butts with the double bird flipping off Nashville Pussy. Even though they didn't have their rebel flags hanging above the stage, the Juggalos could still see them there. The ghosts of those flags hanging earlier were still present, and the Juggalos could feel the aura of those stars and bars, and they wanted that band gone. Wow, that was truly remarkable. An amazing moment in history for everybody except Nashville Pussy. I'm sure they view that moment slightly different. Nashville Pussy, wow. They made Watershed look like Twisted up there. Then one night, the little wolf guy with the long-ass beard from Nashville Pussy kicked in our dressing room door right after his set with his fucking head bleeding. The fucking crazy-ass wolf pointed at the hole in his head and just screamed at us. Ah! You guys are fucking cool, he yelled, pointing his finger at us and then at his head. You guys are fucking cool, but your fucking fans don't appreciate rock and roll, man. Fuck that. Then he slammed the door, and that was it. We just sat there thinking, whoa, that was fucking awesome. We couldn't believe how fresh that was. That was just so awesome to witness. Suddenly, the hot chick from Nashville Pussy came busting into the room. And she pointed right at Joey's face and screamed, I want your face right here! And smacked her netting. I was like, whoa, now that don't sound so bad, I thought. Then she seen I was feeling kind of left out, so she looked over at me and said, and I want your face right here! And slapped the back of her butthole area, and then left the room. Fuck, man, that sucks. What kind of bullshit is that? She wants my face in her ass? Fuck that, she just got off stage. They were totally crazy as hell. Pretty cool in person, but our bands just didn't fit together on stage. Kinda like my face in her butt. It just wasn't gonna go down. Back to business. Since we released 2 separate albums, Bizaar and Bizaar, Island Records said they'd do 2 videos. So we filmed a video for Tilt-A-Whirl and Let's Go All the Way out in Los Angeles. Then Island took the finished videos to MTV and knocked on the door of the programming director. Much to our surprise, MTV said they'd actually put Let's Go All the Way on the air. Not just on MTV2, ICP on MTV. Unbelievable. Then they showed the video mad late every night after 3 a.m. and we partied every time they did. We were still on the Bizaar tour like the whole time, and so we'd all be in the bus, and the minute we heard it come on at night, we'd jump out of our bunks and start dancing and singing around. After that, it was always hard as hell to get back to sleep. This was our last shot at rounding up juggalos before the saga's ending is revealed. So of course, we were bout it. Even if MTV started spinning the fuck out of our shit, you'll never see us on MTV's game shows or hosting them fucking spring break beauty contests and all that other ass kissing shit that Smash Mouth and fucking Sugar Ray used to do. Haha. If you see us on MTV, you'll be seeing our video and nothing more. Or you might see us on MTV News if we're getting arrested again. I wouldn't give a fuck if they were playing our shit. I'm not mad at them. I'd be happy they're playing our shit. Let as many ninjas see our shit as possible. I'd be proud. We had an idea. We had a giant meeting. We knew they were playing Let's Go All the Way at 3 o'clock in the morning every night. And we knew we were officially in their system. Now, this was back when MTV had the show TRL. It was their biggest show, and it stood for Total Request Live, which meant the people watching MTV could call in, request a video, and they would play the top 10 videos on TRL every day with their host, Carson Daly. Plus, they'd always have a special celebrity star in the studio with them. And the studio would be full of fans, and they would have NSYNC on there, or Limp Bizkit, or whoever else was kicking ass at the time. They would have them on TRL. It was their biggest show for a long time at MTV. And right during this time is when MTV added Let's Go All the Way into their system and started spinning it after the owls had passed out and went to bed. But we had an idea. If MTV actually put ICP in their system, let's take advantage of it. Let's blow it up all out with the help of the Juggalo Nation. Then Psychopathic Records flew in and organized representatives from the top 10 biggest Juggalo websites. About 20 Juggalos came in all, and 20 plane tickets is no cheap deal. We had limos pick them all up, and we put them up in a nice hotel down the street from the office. The next day, we had a meeting at a banquet hall near Psychopathic Records. Alex got up and said, "Listen, ICP's video has just been accepted by MTV. We want to ask you all for your help. We want all of you to go on your websites and help blow this shit up on TRL. Let's all get the word out to the Juggalos all over the world to vote for the video." Boom! Every Hatchet fan website started sending out the memos. All Juggalos request the video on MTV's lame-ass show, Total Request Live. These ninjas had the tactic too. They figured out how to remove something called the cookies from their computers so Juggalos could vote multiple times. If the TRL phone lines were busy, shit, they figured out how to get their computers to dial up the number until it answered. After 3 weeks, it became clear the MTV corporate wall was just too damn big. Nothing was fucking happening, and mad Juggalos were voting. We decided to concentrate all of our scattered efforts on one big day, December 8th, 2000, which would go down in history as the mighty day of Lenda. Lenda means all or nothing. We redesigned our website in camouflage and we readied for battle. All Juggalos, if we all just wait and then attack all on one day, we'll have a better chance at penetrating the corporate walls of MTV. For the ground-based assault, many Juggalos from New York and New Jersey and Connecticut just went right to MTV offices at 1515 Broadway with giant ICP signs to be there on the mighty day of Lenda in person. The Juggalo Army assault on TRL was set. Our video was in their system. All they needed was votes, and we were gonna give them votes all together on one big day. Rudy, Rob, acting on this covert manner under his ninja name of Jumpsteady, along with Tom Dub and 6 other Psychopathic Records ninjas, drove out to Manhattan, New York City to hand out signs and more. I told my brother, make sure you get there early so you get the best spots. They were there at 5 a.m. We figured that day would make history. Here you have this band that only gets late night rotation on the channel, all of a sudden hitting on the total request lines for just one day. That would be the fucking bomb. The next day we'd be gone again, but we just wanted to demonstrate the power of the Juggalos to MTV, if even just for a day. Christina Aguilera's fine ass was the special guest hosting TRL that day. And we were thinking, bitch, you best be practicing on how to say Insane Clown Posse and Psychopathic Records, because we're gonna be on that motherfucker right there with you, shocking everybody when we hit that bitch #1. An hour before the show started, Rob called us at our hotel with a report.
There's juggalos everywhere, about 400 of them. They've all got giant signs right under the TRL studio window. It's hella funny. It's hella funny, Joe, because there's like 75 Christina Aguilera fans and they don't know what the hell's going on. They're being overmobbed by all these crazy juggalos.
Lenda was in mad effect. Psychopathic received reports from all coasts. The entire Juggalo Nation was all tuned into TRL and busting ass on the request front. Even Joey and I were sitting in our hotel room on tour that day, blowing up MTV with requests. It was time. The mainstream world stepped aside for the Juggalos, if only for a day. But then, about only a half hour before TRL went live, it happened. All those Viacom security guards, with the help of about 10 New York City police officers, came storming out of MTV with one objective: move all juggalos out of the camera's range. This is no lie, ninjas. Some juggalos, including Rob and them, got their asses hit for refusing to move. Most juggalos just were stunned this was even happening. Rob tried to plead for the juggalos. Man, this is a public street and we're just chilling. We're no different than Christina Aguilera's fans. What's up? We're out here representing our favorite band. What are we doing wrong? Every day fans from groups show up there at MTV right there for TRL. Why the fuck do we have to move? Our guys had only showed up to support their favorite artists the same way those teeny boppers showed up to pledge their allegiance to Christina Aguilera. Juggalos had driven all the way from the Midwest to represent, only to get pushed off the sidewalk and out of the camera's range. These motherfuckers moved the Juggalos out all the way actually across the street, and then had the fucking gall to usher the Christina Aguilera fans back into the camera's view. Then the show goes live on the air without one mention of ICP. Even while Christina Aguilera was talking, you could faintly hear the Juggalos from way across the street in New York City chanting, ICP, ICP. You could hear them coming through the microphones on TV from way outside across the street. Juggalos trying to accomplish our mission. You could actually hear them, but it was all ignored. This show is called Total Request Live, but the United States of America was forced to watch a total lie that day. If it was really based on Total Request, that day we probably smoked every other band in the world, yet they ignored us. It was a lie. The truth is, we were #1. Afterwards, MTV informed Island Records that a band first has to be chosen by the head programmers of MTV to even be eligible for TRL. That's why we didn't even make the countdown. Oh, so MTV viewers get a choice once MTV has already chosen it for you. Once TRL was off the air, Rob and the other Juggalos were finally released. Everybody just went back home realizing just how lame MTV really is and how corporate and powerful it really all is. You know what's even lamer? The whole idea. My idea. This idea. After that, I was really bent. I felt like I didn't even know what I was doing anymore. Too much stress. Maybe, I don't know. I was falling apart and steady lying to myself about the shit. I can't even believe we were even trying that hard to get on MTV. It would be cool to be on there, but it's not worth it at all to fight for. All I've ever done is proven you can succeed without them, that there's a way to succeed without taking the mainstream route. We did it. We did it again with Twisted. Now they're buying houses for their moms too, without bitch-ass MTV. If Bizaar and Bizaar only sells 400,000 copies each and never goes gold or platinum, it don't matter to us. I know there's gonna be a time when them records get their due. Plus, Sharon Osbourne still owes us that 50 grand, cause she said they wouldn't even do 50,000. The day of Lenda taught us one thing, if anything. Juggalos are powerful. Juggalos will unite and take action when called upon. That is not normal. I don't know about the Kiss Army. I don't know about the Deadheads, but I do know that Juggalos have more passion and more devotion to being a Juggalo, and they will assemble in the name of Juggalos when called upon. And that I respect, because they assembled that day at TRL outside of the window and all over the country making those requests. I even remember when we were calling in our hotel room and the lady finally answered the request line. We asked for ICP's Let's Go All the Way, and she said, "Yes, I know, everybody's calling for it," and hung up. That gave me proof right then and there that more ninjas were calling for ICP and Let's Go All the Way than were calling for any other band in that fucking countdown. So fuck Total Request Lies. The BZR tour though, that went off without a hitch. We played some pretty big ass venues and had a lot of fucking fun. For the second leg, we took out Psychopathics, Blaze Your Dead Homie, and Anybody Killer, and a band called Mars. Mars was cool as fuck. The main guy, Bobby, was once with the band Ministry, and now he was off doing his own thing. He really dug what we had going on. He loved it all. The tour, the Juggalos, the face paint, the carnival, and everything. He was like really feeling it. Bobby and I started to hang out a lot on this tour. Juggalos accepted Mars with open arms because his shit was definitely raw. Bobby was talented as fuck. His whole album was all produced, arranged, programmed, and mixed by him alone. Ministry really fucked up by losing him. The second leg of the tour was long and ruthless, but worth every step. Juggalos loved the big-ass set Billy put together, and many say the Bizaar set was the best-looking tour we've ever done. My mind was just focused on that fresh-ass, newly completed Lotus Pod studio, and once we got home, we jumped right up in that bitch and finally started recording the much anticipated, much talked about, much overdue Dark Lotus album, Tales from the Lotus Pod. And of course, Dark Lotus is Shaggy 2 Dope, Violent J, Jamie Madrox, Monoxide, and Blaze Your Dead Homie right there. And now we finally get to record the first album. The planets have aligned, everybody's home, and everybody's ready to rock. Mike P must have really gotten inspired while engineering for us, recording Dark Lotus, because he came up with a batch of tracks that were to whip diggity. We jumped all over them. Now Mike P was in on Lotus 2. It was coming together fast and furiously. It felt like being at home in there and being happy again, recording at the Lotus Pod. I was really feeling this guy Bobby Mars's rap style at the time, and this was a brand new group, so I asked him if he was interested in joining Dark Lotus and signing up with Psychopathic Records. He was down. The rest of the group was kind of like, but that's another story. The only problem was that Mars was on some other label called Imagine Records, and they sucked. Bobby told us he could easily get out of that deal though. The plan was to debut Bobby on the Dark Lotus album with us and then drop his solo album later on Psychopathic Records in the future. It was a great plan, and so everybody got to work. Mike Clark, Mike P, Twisted, everybody steady dropping bomb-ass tracks for Tales from the Lotus Pod. It was all well underway. Bobby from Mars suddenly dropped his whole band. He just took the name Mars for himself, and he was driving from Chicago every week to the studio. He was like some fake-ass fam at the time. I was weak-minded, I guess. As soon as the Dark Lotus album came out, though, we fell out with Bobby Mars. He finally informed us that his label was not going to be letting him go anywhere. And now that we brought on all this new attention to him, they were especially excited about releasing his new solo album. More or less, he just informed us that he was going to stay on his label and hopefully just use us, Psychopathic and Dark Lotus, for everything it's worth. He was even featured on our 2001 Psychopathic Records sampler. Of course, just like everybody else looking for a free ride, Bobby got all salty over parting ways, and now we don't even talk. He even made a diss song where he called himself the real Six Jokers card. What? Yes, the Six Jokers card is Bobby Mars. Listen, Juggalos, I have a big heart, and because I have a big heart, sometimes I make stupid fucking business moves. And asking Bobby Mars to join Dark Lotus when he was virtually a fucking stranger with a cool voice was a very fucking stupid move on my part. And for a long, great deal of time, starting at this period, I was actually taken out of control at Psychopathic. I was removed of my powers. Everything I wanted to do, I needed to run by everybody else first, and a vote had to be taken because I couldn't just come up with ideas and execute them anymore because I was making stupid, dumb mistakes, thinking with my heart instead of my mind. I was offering opening groups way more money than they were worth just because I wanted to put a smile on their face and be nice to them. I was doing stupid moves, and I really did not deserve to be in power. And thankfully, my brother and Alex asked me to step down and run things through them. And since then, we've survived, thankfully. Before we knew it, it was time for the second annual gathering of the Juggalos. This year, it would be in Toledo, Ohio at the Seagate Center Convention Hall. If you have ever been to a gathering, please take time to think about how hard it was setting all that shit up. I'm talking about Psychopathic Records spending a half a year putting that shit together. We don't bring in some promoter team to do it all for us. No, it's all Psychopathic. It's all Rob. It's all Billy. It's all Alex, Stefan, Rudy, Barry, and everybody. Fuck, man. At least this time I knew what to expect out of the gathering. No, I didn't know. Tell me this. How could you go completely perfect, not once, but twice in a row? Somehow we did it. Once again, this year's gathering topped the best weekend of my life list. We had a special surprise guest play live, Crazy Bone, who surprised us by bringing the rest of Bone Thugs and Harmony to the stage with him. Vanilla Ice was there rocking his shit. Also, Mars was there just days before the split. Dark Lotus performed. Psychopathic Riders performed. Everybody, even our homies, 3-6 Mafia, performed at the second annual gathering. way back in 2001. Once again, it was like a Juggalo paradise for a couple days. Every night we hung out in this kid's room down the hall from us. We called his room the Opium Den. They had mad weed, beer, liquor, food, fago, chicks. We were all way too busy each doing our events to hang out together during the day. But at least at night, we'd get to hang out with each other and a few juggalos up in the Opium Den, getting it cracking. The Gathering 2001 also featured the return of the one and only Misery, which ended up turning out kinda bad. We figured there's plenty of juggalos who would love to see Misery again. He hadn't toured with us at this point in like 3 years. I don't know how or why it went down, and that's the truth. All I know is Misery's crew and Twisted's crew don't mix, and that meant trouble. Anyhow, besides that extra little bit of drama, the Gathering was off the fucking chain. Nate the Mac was even in the house. We brought in Gorgeous George, who was Randy Savage's sexy ass female manager in WCW. She was nasty as fuck though. She's the kind of chick who'll spit up a goober and then catch it again in her mouth. Ugh. She was fine as fuck on TV, a little fucking petite angel, but in person, she was like a fucking nasty troll, farting and stinking. It was horrible. JCW was back in super effect. The main event of the 3-day convention was Sabu vs. Vampiro, and Sabu was the shit. So was Vampiro. We brought in mad wrestlers from back in the day too. Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Honky Tonk Man, Greg the Hammer Valentine, and many more. That's how we like it. Old school. These are the guys we grew up watching on TV, and now we get to watch them actually wrestle at the Gathering in front of our own fucking faces, and we get to decide who wins. It's such a dream come true. This Gathering was purely a secret trip to heaven, and all juggalos knew it. They knew the feeling in the air was ultimately supernatural. There's no way it couldn't be, and it still is. If you attend a Gathering, you instantly know something supernatural is present, and that's the beauty of the fucking Gathering. Right when it was all over, we started hanging out with Sabu a lot. We even brought him along on our upcoming Dark Lotus tour just to jump around on stage with us. Sabu had a beautiful wife, and they both go to Japan like every other week, cause Sabu's a huge star in Japan too. When he's not in Japan, he would hang around with us and play Uno all the time at the studio. Sabu was a big fan of the band Zug Island. Outside of that, I can't really say too much about him or I'll kill his mysterious gimmick. Just to know that I've known him and Rod Van Dam all these years, and look where we all ended up, it's crazy as hell to me. I love reminiscing with them about the old ass local independent shows when they would only make $50 and have to pay $50 in gas. Once again, Rob, Nathan, and all of them pulled off an amazing Gathering of the Juggalos. Tradition was truly born at the second Gathering of the Juggalos. Once the second Gathering of the Juggalos went off without a hitch, we knew this thing is forever. This will be an annual tradition from here on forever and always. With the Dark Lotus album out and selling like dime rocks, I might add, we added more fuel to the fire, and we hit the road as a complete family on the Hatchet Rising tour. It should have all been gravy, but not exactly. It was for everybody else, but I was steady flaking, perpetrating, and scared to kick reality. This was a strange time for me, Juggalos. I thought and thought about how I wanted to do this, how I wanted to bring up the timeline to present without dwelling on this part too much. Did I want to talk about the Lotus days? I thought about what I wanted to tell you about and what I didn't, but I gotta tell you the truth. Like I keep saying, this is all my history, the good with the bad. I gotta represent it all. I'm about to tell you all something real, something many, if not all of you, most likely will not understand. I don't like the Dark Lotus albums. I don't listen to them, and I hate the tours. It's a time of personal hell for me. The albums are morbid, dark, and slow. I love the raps and music. I appreciate the art, and I enjoy making it. I honestly do. But it just puts me into a mood, into a place I don't like. Those are the trades of the wicked shit. But we've always shown other sides to the show as well with ICP. But Dark Lotus is grim. And to me, the first album is tarnished by Mars, the fallout with Mikey Clark, the arrival of my panic attacks, and too many other things for me. My whole life, the Joker cards have come to me like knowing my own name. Yet, after the Bizaar albums dropped, I was still lost. I was falling hard. I was lost during the whole Lotus era. My medication was all fucked up from my panic attacks. I was so fat that I sucked on stage. During a tour, I tried to stay in the back of the stage as much as possible. Juggalos chanted my name sometimes, and I felt like it was out of sympathy for my sorry ass. Yes, we did it. We pulled it all off sweetly, but I wasn't even really there at this time. I was lost without the sixth. It was like I was sick or something because we hadn't started it. Like we were running from the ending and it was killing me off. Twisted fucking freaked the fucking tour so hard, and so did Blaze and ABK, who took Mars's place like he should have from the start. Thank God Joey was there for me and him, because I felt like I wasn't there. What a dark chapter. What a dark time. What freshness awaited me I couldn't have even dreamed of. The sixth arrives.